Hey guys, welcome to the FitTown Show. This is Coach Andrew with Coach Amanda and Coach Arlan today. And today we're going to be sharing some personal stories of us facing confidence and gaining confidence in our own lives and places in our lives where we were unconfident for very long and have had to develop and gain that confidence. So we also have another episode with Nick and Melissa that may be released before or after this that has similar stories. And I shared a story on that personally, and I have another one that I'm going to share on this one as well. So we're going to let Amanda kick it off with her experience of having to face lack of confidence and where she gained that.
Yeah, so I guess starting off, well, if you didn't know, I'm a female. I don't know if you guys knew. Okay. Anyways, I'm a female. So one of the biggest things was I knew I always wanted to work in sports from playing high school sports, playing college sports. I wanted to be in something athletic, and that was kind of just my dream, my goal, my everyday thought process. And I started out teaching in Arizona and got to coach sports, and that was really fun, but I felt like there was something more that I wanted. So I up and moved to Houston, and that was kind of like the life shock to me because Houston was very white male, like I'm the one that gets hired for everything, and I got told a lot, you're a female, you can't do it. You're a female, you don't look the part, you're not strong enough, you're too pretty, you're too whatever, you name it, I was told it. And that actually hurt my confidence for a while.
I wish someone told me it was too pretty.
Right?
Me just side note.
I did.
Keep going.
You know, it's one of those things. It was so weird. I was in an interview, and this girl told me, like, you're never going to get a job doing what you want to do in strength and conditioning because you're too pretty. I was like, what do I do? Do I like run myself over in the parking lot? Like, how do you combat that? Like, all right, I mean, thanks. I think I'm kind of worried, but I just got told a lot that it was like, no, there's no way, no one's going to listen to you, you're not going to be authoritative enough for that spot. And I just kept trying because I felt like I had the confidence in myself of, I know I can do this and I know I'm good at it, so I'm just going to keep rolling with it, and I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to keep applying for jobs and kind of see what happens. And I got told no a lot. So
yeah, and you said that shifted for you when you went to Boston. So how did that shift?
So the biggest shift there was getting myself out of Texas for a moment and moving to a state that was very accepting of females in lead positions. And they actually were striving to find females for their women's sports teams, for just different jobs and that sort of thing. And I thought that was really cool. It gave me that little bit of light of, okay, so I was closed off in this box of no females allowed, but now there's this light of, no, we love when females are here because we know their attention to detail, they're really good at what they do, and they focus a lot into it, they put a lot into it. And so that kind of started my span again, and I got to work with the strength and conditioning coaches at Harvard that were just amazing in that aspect and helped kind of lead me through it. They said, you have a natural gift of leading people, and just, kind of helped me hone in on like learning programming stuff and that kind of thing. And the better I got at that, the more confident I became in it. And it just took me being confident and having somebody else's confidence in me to kind of boost it even more.
And then what I think is cool is you went back to Houston and ended up coaching there before coming here. So it's cool that you were able to break through and not have to just be in an environment that was accepting of, more accepting of females or more promoting of females in those positions to succeed and do what you wanted to do.
Exactly. Yeah, when I moved back, I remember my flight very well. I cried the whole way home, or the whole way back to Houston, because I was like, I can't believe I'm going back to Houston. I don't feel like I'm meant to be here, but I'm just going to keep trying. And so because I got put back there, I really did have to break through that adversity and kind of learn a little more about myself. I started coaching a lot more. I took an internship at University of Houston, got to kind of work with football and track and a lot of heavy lifting men. And it was really cool for me because they trusted me and then I trusted me more. So I kind of laugh a lot. We kind of talked about like the bench press stuff, but I laughed a lot here because a lot of times people are like, ooh, I don't know if you can you spot me? Are you sure? I'm like, listen, I used to spot linemen for football. I think I'm going to be okay. But it's been fun because it's just turned that confidence for me.
Yeah. How'd you get here?
Oh, goodness. Well, that's another fun story. Robert Wells, if you're listening out there, you'll love this. My best friend in Oklahoma, I actually sent him the post and was like, dude, this would be so cool. I was like, man, I always get told no. Like, I'm just not even, it's not worth writing another email or writing another thing up and being told no. And he just kind of like stopped for a minute and said, okay, but what do you have to lose? You don't want to be in Houston. You know that you're going to do better somewhere else. Why not just try? And I was like, you know what, you're right. All right. So I sent an email and hello, I'm here.
I remember when you flew out and you like hung out with us, and I remember that the whole like weekend and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like, it's not, we talk about like the 4 things that we're focusing on, which is effort over outcome, trying something new, putting in the reps and following through. The one thing that comes up for both of you, and we'll get to Arlan here in a second, is like having a support system of someone who believes in you. You had people at Harvard that reinforce that, no, you can do this, you have a talent for this, and you have this friend in your life that's like, go for it, try it. And I think, do we necessarily want to get our confidence from outside sources? I don't think so, but it does speak to surrounding yourself with people who are going to infuse you with confidence as opposed to take away from it.
Yeah,
I agree 100%, because we all have that little bit of confidence somewhere, which starts with that, I think, but I don't know. And so when we have that little bit and somebody just says, no, I know you can, it's like, okay, you're right. Let me just try and see what happens.
kind of pushes you a little bit.
Yeah, and so then when you try and you're like, oh, I can do that. Okay, cool. And now that confidence starts to build, and then it just kind of builds on top.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we want to talk about, which is something that we all share, which is we all have struggled at some point in our lives with public speaking, being on camera, doing exactly what we're doing right now.
So true.
And, there was a time in my life, I could literally remember the exact date, I don't know what the date was, but like being in middle school, like having to be in front of the class and just like not being able to talk, like not being able to say the words I wanted to say. And like, even to this day, I don't like reading. Like if I had to read here on camera, I would hate doing it. But like I've put in the reps and I've been able to gain confidence over time. And I mean, there was a good, I would say, all of the second half of middle school, all of high school, into my first year of college, really until I took a public speaking course my freshman year, that started to get the reps in, give me some confidence. But up until that point, like I would say there were probably very few days, maybe not a single day that went by that I wasn't like scared to be put on the spot, scared to be in front of a group, whether that be like in the class, in my sports teams, things like that. And I dreaded it. Like I absolutely dreaded it. And it's very crazy that like this is the thing that I'm doing right now and doing the majority of. But I know you guys have had experiences with that as well.
Yes, big time. Same thing, kind of growing up into like through middle school, high school, like always worried about, giving a presentation, right? And speaking in front of the whole class and like messing up your words and doing all this kind of stuff, right? And like it was just kind of continued into a little bit into college. Same thing, I actually took public speaking at junior college as well. That helped me a little bit, but still I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Like always dreading like the night before, like, can I say this? Can I remember this? Can I do all this kind of stuff? And so like, I kind of went in the opposite direction of going engineering, where I sit in a cubicle. To people. Right? I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm like working on my computer, just like stay in your cubicle, stay there kind of thing, work on numbers. Yeah. So moving out here with Katie, and when we decided to start having a family, it was like, do we want to stay in this position where I'm still at the cubicle for 10, 12 hours a day and not be a part of the family, not raise the child I want to have, right? And be a family together. So we made the decision together to change that, right? And so I was like, I was going over here to the local gym over here, Hugh. I lost a lot of weight. I was kind of gaining a little bit of confidence in that. And I coached back in California and Arizona, like some sports like I-9 sports and a few other things too. So I was like, I think I can do this. I want to do something like this. 'Cause I know I can make a good amount of money to help support my family, but also have the freedom to be with my family, right? I remember the day after going through a little bit of training. I don't remember same thing, not the exact day, but I remember being in front of the normal crew I used to work out with and just being like, like, okay, here we go. Like, this is exactly what's going to happen. And I look over at Katie after I go over the train wreck of my first class that I coached, and she just goes, this is what you're going to try and do? We have a lot of work, big boy. Let's go. And I was like, oh, here we go.
I can even picture the Katie face.
Oh, yeah, you can't you? So, just putting in, class after class after class and day after day after day, putting all the reps and following through. And now I'm here at this place, and it's everything like we had hoped for, even like bouncing around between a couple other gyms and coaching positions and stuff like that. And having her as that rock and that support system where I wanted to do it, but she was like, we're going to do this together. I can help float our boat, but you're going to be involved the way we want you to be involved as like a parent and the family and everything. So for her to be there and be a part of it was a huge like catalyst to kind of push me towards that position too. It was so like the unknown, right? We like train for the unknown and everything like that, unknowable, but like that unknown of like, I'm not sure, I think I can do it, like what you're talking about. But her going, let's go, let's do it. It was huge.
It's so, like, going back to your original, like your choice of major, I think is so fascinating because I wonder how much of that, whether consciously or subconsciously, was like an avoidance of like, this thing that I'm not confident in. And I know you have the right intelligence and skill set for engineering too. So I don't think it was, it was specifically purely about avoiding something else. But I'm curious if you would have chosen differently had you been more confident in this.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, I was really good at, math and science and everything. I think that helped me go that route, but maybe subconsciously I was like, I don't want to be in front of people. I don't want to do like a lot of stuff like this. And here we are now. And I remember my first class that I coached here interviewing, and that was like even another step past that, because I think of all the classes that I coached, I can remember at least, I think one of the bigger ones was probably like, 25 to 30-ish. And the first class here was on a Sunday, and you were in the corner by the kids' room, and Austin and I were coaching. He was like, all right, you're gonna take lead on this. I'm like, okay. And I just see person after person after person come in, and I'm like, this class is starting to get kind of big. I'm like, 1, 2, I'm starting to count. And this is before, obviously, with all the COVID stuff and everything.
40-person class cap.
Yeah, but even before a 40-person class cap.
That's true, we didn't have caps.
We didn't have that at that time. It was between like Christmas and New Year's, or like the holidays, and like everyone was here like visiting. I think we ended up close to like 60 something, like 67, 62. It was something, it was like right under like 70 people. I'm like looking out, I'm like, there's a sea of faces and eyes. And I'm like, okay, don't panic. Like, here we go, we got it. And I remember like, it definitely was not the best class I coached, but I followed through with it because this is exactly what we were looking for. And I'm thankful I'm still here. After that, I'm so glad you didn't judge me specifically on that one class there.
Oh my
How about you, Amanda?
Okay, well, I'm kind of a little bit the opposite in the way that I have never really had a fear talking in person. I've never had problems in projects, and I could get up in front of a ton of people on stage and give a speech, and I was fine. My problem stemmed from the camera. Something about looking at a camera and making eye contact with the thing that you can't make eye contact with freaked me out. So I can actually think back to when I started my master's program, I had to turn in all of these video projects, and I was like, it took me 87 takes per video, probably at a minimum. But I would turn it on, and I was like, why do I look so weird? Oh gosh, I look like an alien. And then it was like, I would do like these weird things with my hands, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Like Ricky Bobby,
like,
I don't know what to do with my
I
hands.
don't know. And it just was so, and I'm like, why is this so hard? Like, what is the deal? So I kept having to do them, didn't get any better at them. moved out here, still had a panic attack when Zach called me up one day and was like, hey, do you want to be my demo person? Robbie's not here. And I was like, okay, I don't even have to talk on camera, and I'm freaking out because I'm on camera. I'm like, okay, it's going to be fine. So I got through that one, and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, Amanda, you're going to be programmer now. And I was like, wait, so that means I have to talk on camera? And I was like, okay, Nick's my sidekick, like, it's going to be fine. But I remember being like, I don't think I can do this in one take. And it was like, it was all about like the one take wonder and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't think I can do this in one take. Like, I'm freaking out. I made it through the first one. Kathy Spicer was there. She was like, you did it. You made it. You made it through a one take. You're so great. And I was like, I still feel like I looked really weird. And so I was just like panicking the whole time. And I still don't think I would have been very comfortable had COVID shutdown not happened. So when that happened, it was like, all right, 7 days a week of videos. You're doing warm-ups. You're doing like class stuff. You're going to jump in. You're going to demo for Arlan stuff. And it was just, I think after like the first week of just bam, 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 like doing 6-7 videos in a row, that I was like, okay, now it's just like I'm talking to a person, and the camera's a person, and here we are. Like, I don't
remember
even
those
know.
days. Oh my God.
It's probably 500-600 videos at this point. Probably pretty close to that. Between all of that stuff, all of the other stuff, doing follow-alongs now, I feel like it just kind of became more of a routine. But it took, again, putting in the reps of like, okay, the only way you're gonna get better at it is just keep doing it. At some point, you're gonna figure it out. So
I think you judge yourself hard. Like,
so
you're
hard.
your own like worst critic, your own like everything. And so afterwards, I remember you're like, that sounded terrible. I'm like, what are you talking about? That sounded great. Like, I don't know if I looked weird. Like, is this right? Like, do I do a knee drop this way?
Right? Oh my gosh. No, it's so true. I just remember like going back to that first video I did for my class. And I like was taking screenshots and basically making fun of myself. Like, you know the alien in Men in Black that has like the really broad shoulders and he has like this little skinny head? So that's what I thought I looked like on camera. And I was like, oh no, people are gonna be like, who is this girl? Like trying to tell us to do stuff. And so it's funny now because I'm just on camera so much that I don't know, it's nice. It's good.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I kind of did some rough math. I was like, how many have I done? So I was like, okay, I've probably done like 5,000 classes.
Yeah.
And that's actually since opening the gym. You could probably add another 1,000 to that. So like 6,000 classes, like 300 podcasts, like hundreds of videos, and still like get nervous every time I do it. So I think that's another thing to realize is like, you'll never get to the point where it just completely goes away. Mm-hmm. Now, over time, I've been able to reframe that nervousness as nervousness or anxiety to excitement, and like I'm excited to do this, I'm excited to share. And I like what you said about like you're just talking to a person, because I've gotten over it by focusing on like, okay, like what am I really trying to achieve? Like ultimately I want to help the person on the other side of this video or the person that's in the class, and like when I connect with that, it becomes a lot easier. And it's less about me and it's more about them. Exactly. And once I start focusing on that, then a lot of that pressure comes off. Mm-hmm.
I did hear this thing one time. I don't remember who it was, but it was like a music artist or whatever. And they said, do you get nervous when you go on stage? And they said, yeah, every time. I'd be more worried if I wasn't. Yeah. Because if I'm not, then I'm not excited about what I'm doing and I don't really care about what I'm doing. So I think when you have that amount of care, that's what makes you nervous in the first place, because you actually want to do well with it. So it's good.
I agree. Like playing sports, growing up, like right before the game, I was always like, nervous, excited, anxious, and it was always like, why am I like this right now? Like, but it's like excited, right? And because you do care about doing well, you do care about like performing and everything. So I think there's a definite element to that, and like pushing past that for like excitement. You're excited to actually go out and do that.
Yeah.
Cool. So Arlan, I know you had one more thing that you wanted to share, kind of related to family and just having that personal growth side of things. So.
Yeah. So like growing up, it was a household like taught at a very young age to defend yourself and believe in what you believe in, right? Like grow up, like if someone is, talking to you and it's not something that you agree with, like stand up for what you believe in, right? So, it was a household to develop that, which is great, but like I was always afraid to come back and stand my ground even more so. So if someone says something, I would like defend myself, and they come back again, I would always like kind of like cower, if you will, like not like physically necessarily, but like more like internally. And then like being of my mind, I would always overanalyze everything. Just like
You?
Yeah, me. Oh my God. I'm always like, well, why did they say this? I could have said this instead. Like I could have come up with this answer. And then I like sitting there, I'm like, I spent like an hour doing nothing and sitting in the corner and like just thinking about this whole thing that has nothing to do with anything. I don't even remember half of those things that even happened at that time anyway. So it was always like that kind of environment to, you know, stand up for what you believe in. So like, I guess a little bit of not the right word, a confrontation, I guess, like being comfortable talking with someone. I guess like, I think we talked about it before, is like having a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
And being comfortable expressing to somebody in a factual, non-emotional setting, right? And just like being open and honest with them, because that's what they deserve, and that's what you deserve as well, like coming back towards you, right? So just like growing up and having like those kind of experiences throughout like high school, like not really like feeling comfortable doing that. And I guess like moving out and then going to college in Arizona and then coming back and living on my own and having different jobs and life experiences, like finally getting comfortable talking to people. And then like this environment here, like, you know what, you're gonna have to own up to it and talk to that person, whether it's a member or a coach or whoever it is. Like, you didn't like it, talk to them, but be honest and be nice about it. You don't have to be aggressive or, you know, whatever. Like, you can be assertive, but don't be, you know, mean about it, right? So like growing up and changing that mindset, now I'm very, very comfortable in that sense. I'm sure some of my fellow coaches are aware of that as well, and some of the other members are probably too. But it just took, you know, some life experiences, especially with like some falling out with friends and family, to really gain that experience, putting through those, you know, reps, unfortunately, right? Those are reps that you don't want to do, but they are essential to who I am now and what I'm able to do and have those difficult conversations. So
yeah, from talking to you earlier, it sounds like there was a lot of like sweeping things under the rug, kind of like keeping the peace, and essentially to avoid those short-term hits to your confidence to maybe have a conversation. It created more longer-term, bigger issues that now you're like, it sounds like you're like, well, I don't want that bigger long-term thing to happen, so I'm going to attack it as it's happening in real time. Yeah,
as it happens in real time, especially like, again, going back to overanalyzing something, it becomes such a burden on me, and then it affects those who are around me, coaches, friends, members, and then like my family too, like talking with Katie or hanging out with Charlotte. Like a lot of it comes out sometimes if I don't get it out, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, I need to take a step back. This is subconsciously bothering me that it's coming out now. I need to have that conversation. So it's off my chest, it's off my shoulders. I need to do this because then I'm a better person, right? So it turned into a fear of it, into, I'm not obviously not excited about it. I don't like those things ever, but I am way more comfortable having those conversations and then pushing through that, and then I'm a better person for it. So
awesome. We'll wrap up on that. Thanks guys. Thanks for sharing. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank you.